Woo! Fox Big Noon. Lee Corso makes his final pick. He picks the Buckeyes, and what a game that we had here, man. This is one of those where I never expected it to be high scoring. That was never part of my expectations. I don't know why anyone came out like, oh, they're going to put up 66 points combined. Nah, I had this game from the get go being like a 21-17 type of game where Ohio State would walk away with the win. You know, but off the back, man, Texas comes out and they're not being conservative. They want to show you that they came here to win. They're letting Manning throw the ball. They're actually acting like they trust their quarterback, which is quite different when you look at the other side. Ohio State stops them with the turnover on downs. After a 4th and 2 try. Off the rip, Ohio State looks way too conservative. Classic, just classic Ryan Day. And I know he's not the one calling the plays, but he's the one kind of dictating how this is going to play out. Because what do? They come out, Julian saying, extremely conservative, give him 3 running plays. They run the ball 3 times straight, like I said. On the 4th down, they allow him to throw the ball, which then gets thrown to a tight end that drops the ball. So it was turnover on downs when Jeremiah Smith was open down the field. And Julian saying wants that one back. He's going to be dreaming about that one, that's for sure. And Jeremiah Smith wasn't too happy about it. When Julian came to the sideline, Ryan Day looked at him like, did you not look down the field? Did you not see that? Like, when we draw that up, you got to take advantage of it. But the truth is, it wasn't his fault. He just didn't see it. It is what it is. He threw actually a really good ball to the tight end, but the tight end just dropped it. That's a pass that any tight end or any receiver, period, just catch the ball. Okay. You had it and you dropped it on your way out, so you didn't complete the pass. That was just the issue. So you got to complete the pass. You know what I mean? That's just your job. Just do your job. So from the get go, like I said, we see Ohio State is just a little too conservative, and this is a general problem for the likes of Ryan Day. I don't really know why he likes to come out like that, but Texas is coming, man. They're coming like, hey, we're going for this. We want to win this game, you know. And Ohio State kind of needs to let Julian saying kind of come out of his shell a little bit. This kid doesn't look like he's scared to play. Just let him play, you know. I'm actually telling you one thing that I'm loving about college football this season, though, especially while watching this game, is seeing these defenses, the way they're playing. They're flying to the ball. They're not opening up big gaps on the offensive and defensive line. The trenches are a serious battle. And a lot of the analysts, even before the game started, they said, hey, whoever wins the running game will actually end up winning this game. And that was actually a pretty fair point. I actually kind of agree with them. But at the same time, I was like, man, this is going to be a game of mistakes. Who makes the most mistakes will be the ones that lose the game. And that's exactly what ended up happening, is who made the most mistakes. In all honesty, Texas made the most mistakes. That's just what happened. And I'm going to go over all that and kind of show you exactly what I mean. I'm not going over every drive, but just the drives that kind of made a difference in this game to actually give us the result that we got. So once they start letting Julian saying actually just throw the ball, I mean, look at him. He's throwing the ball into tight pockets. He's throwing very accurately. He's getting out of the pocket. Some game situational senses are not quite there though, but I'll talk about more about that. Where I just hope his awareness builds up over time, and it's just that'll be something nice to see, I guess. So the Longhorns, we're gonna skip over to their third drive, okay? Because this Ohio State defense was just stout. This Texas defense was stout. It is what it is. They were both just elite defenses, you know. But in Texas's third drive, you start to see some beautiful things happen for Ohio State's defense, man. Like I said, these guys have the gap integrity. They're not letting balls run up the trenches. They're not letting it go to the outside. And I've been begging for Ohio State to be in the 3-3-5 defense for years because of all the athletes that Ohio State has. And Matt Patricia comes in, and what does he do? He's like, man, I got fast athletes. I got guys that can lock up the entire offensive line. I got linebackers I can jump in there when I need it to cover the gaps to make sure we plug the holes for the runs. I'm going to go to a 3-3-5 defense. And look how successful this defense was. Because of the threat of the running backs coming in, the linemen cannot sit there and just double team defensive linemen. The threat was too great. They had to focus on covering their gaps and their responsibilities and making sure their quarterback was good. But every now and then, you see the Ohio State defense is all up on Arch Manning. And that's exactly what was supposed to happen. It is what it is. So you see the maturity of Matt Patricia's idea. And to be completely honest with you, this looks a lot like the defense from the 2016 Patriots, man. This is actually what that looks like. These guys are just willing to play for Matt Patricia. I don't know what it is. There's something about Matt Patricia, and I hope this keeps evolving over the season, and this defense actually gets better and better and better. New England Patriots were never known for having superstars on defense, but they were known for having a shutdown defense. They could shut you down. They can get you into a space where you're just making mistakes and all that stuff. And this Ohio State team, not that they don't have superstars, well, okay, they have college stars for sure, like Sonny Styles and some other players on defense, but they definitely don't have that. No, I'm gonna take that back. Caleb Downs is definitely a superstar on that defense, 100%, without a doubt. All right, I'll give you that. That's fair. Okay, but outside of him, everybody else just gets the job done. Let's just call it what it is, man. Matt Patricia really got these guys working for him the way that they need to. And then Julian saying, like I said, man, he's reading the defense very well. And when it comes down to Texas, they have this veteran defense. They're triple teaming Jeremiah Smith, making it really hard for the ball to get to him. Jeremiah Smith had a couple drops, two drops actually in the same drive, which is very uncharacteristic of him. That one was actually kind of an eye opener. I'm pretty sure Julian saying even one of those passes where he dropped it, he looked over and he was like, wait a minute, I need to look again. Is that real? He's not used to seeing Jeremiah Smith drop the football. He's just not. It is what it is. It happened. We're going to let it happen. We're just going to let it be a thing because it happened. We all witnessed it. Okay. It is what it is. But even when Ohio State is coming back out on offense trying to run the ball, listen, there are no gaps opening up on the offensive line. Okay. Some of the other receivers really had to step up for them to score a touchdown, and it was eventually Brandon Tate going down the field. You know, he had to bobble the ball once, but then the second try, he got it, and he ended up in the end zone for a touchdown, man. It was actually great defense. It was just better offense, you know, and that's just what it was. So I'm very pleased to see how this team is actually developing and how the defense look. The defense is definitely my favorite development part of all of this. Um, but I definitely love the inclusions of all the drop downs. You see the tight ends being thrown the ball a lot more. That's not really something we got to see over the last few years, but think of all the high caliber receivers that Ohio State has. Maybe that's the reason why, but this time they're actually including that tight end. That tight end is becoming a bigger part of the game. Now, they did have a tight end that actually transferred in, which is actually kind of nice because we see how effective he actually is already. And, I can't wait to see more of him throughout this season. So the tight end game is being added on. That's a new thing. Ohio State's offensive line, oh my God, they're actually holding up, guys. They held up really well, man. They gave Julian Sayans almost 3 seconds every play. I mean, I tried to count. It wasn't perfect, but they gave him almost 3 seconds every play to throw that ball. And listen, as a quarterback, that's all you can ask for. You really can't ask for more than that. So it's just really nice to see that this offensive line is really holding up. And the run game will get there. It'll get better. That'll take a little bit of time and a little bit of development. So let it be what it is. Let that naturally build up. But Ohio State finally gets the first score, obviously, which I already mentioned. And this was truly a chess match, man. Every minute of this game was a defensive battle on both sides. Both defenses were like, I'm not giving up. We're going to do what we have to do to make sure these guys don't score. And now you have to start asking those questions. Now, this is what I said earlier. This was a game of mistakes. Teams made the most mistakes would lose this game. And who made the most mistakes? Michigan. They made three mistakes. Or I said Michigan. Texas. They made three mistakes. Okay. Those three mistakes are the interception, which that was just great defense, and the two fourth downs that they had inside the 10-yard line that they did not go for field goals. Now, think about the game situationally. If they had taken those 6 points and then they scored the touchdown in the fourth quarter, it's a 14-13 game. Meaning, in that last drive for Texas, and I'm going to talk about Ohio State before that last drive, all Texas really would have had to think about is, let me just get in field goal range. I can kick a field goal and go home with the win. But that's not what they did because they didn't put themselves in a position to be successful in that way. Now, the very drive before that, Julian Saint is on the field, and this is kind of what I mean by The maturity has to build up a little bit. You got to give him a little bit of time to build that up. And the maturity for this one is he never thought about keeping the clock running. First down, run the ball. Okay, fine. Second down, he's running with the ball in his hand to the sideline. Now, listen, sometimes it's okay to throw the ball at your receiver's feet so that it can't be intercepted and you live to fight another down. Not when the clock is on your side. When the clock is on your side, you put that ball down into your arm, you take off, you go slide, stay inbounds, make sure that clock is running, so you force Texas to take a timeout. That's a mental mistake, and I don't know why, but a coach should have told him in his helmet. They have the mics in the helmets now, or the speakers, I should say, in the helmets where coaches can talk to them before the clock reaches 15 seconds. And I would be like, hey, this is the play real quick. No matter what you do, make sure you remain in bounds. Do not throw an incompletion. Tuck the ball down and take off, and slide, stay in bounds so that clock can keep running and they burn the timeout. I would have made sure he knew because what he did on the field is the exact opposite of what we thought he would have done. You go down, you slide down, you stay in bounds, and that's situational football. You have to know that. And I know I think he's a sophomore now. He's not a freshman. He's not a true freshman. He's a sophomore, but you have to understand that situation and you have to play that situation just as if it was expected to see. And it was disappointing to see that he just threw the ball down at the feet. I'm like, oh, that's a mental mistake. Please don't do that again. So they got to go into practice and they got to clean that up. They got to show him the situational football, things that he just has to know. You can't make that mistake in big games. That can cost you a game. You know what I mean? So there's that. But yeah, Texas just made the more mistakes. Instead of taking points, they got greedy and tried to go for the 2 fourth downs that they get stuffed at the goal line and inside the 10-yard line. You got to take the points, man. And no one needs to come out and say bad things about Archie Manning, man. I know everybody's like, all the hype was there. Oh, he's the best thing we've ever seen since sliced bread in college football. Man, whatever. Look, all that stuff, you got to know they got to build up a story. They got to build up a narrative. Let it be. Don't fight them. Just let them be. It's okay. It's perfectly fine, man. He's the highest recruited guy ever. I think he's the highest 5-star rating ever in college football history. Let it be. Um, the kid's gonna have a great future. He's gonna have a chance in the NFL no matter what. He's part of the Manning family, bro. They're fine. They're not hurting. Okay, they're perfectly fine. I think he will have a great season. I just think this kind of goes more to what I used to say, and I hope that college football actually considers this one day. I hope they build a preseason where the games that we call the cupcake games. I hope those end up not counting, especially against the smaller schools. I hope the smaller schools actually get their money. And all I want to see is like the beginning of August, just like preseason football in the NFL. I want to see the second team, third team, fourth team. I want to see those guys play because I guarantee you there are players on that bench that we wish we knew about. And we won't know about them, sadly. They're going to be transferred, and then we're going to be like, oh, why wasn't that guy playing? He was at Ohio State. Well, how did he not see the field? Because we didn't know about him. They know about him. Those guys are scouting him. They know the scouts' offense and defense. They know what they have on the bench, but we won't know. Let's not forget Marvin Harrison Jr. was on the bench, but look at the receivers that were ahead of him. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith-Njigba. When those guys got tired, why didn't you let him in? It's those type of players that I'm talking about. And most of those kind of players, they tend to transfer and then we learn about them. And it kind of sucks that that's how that has to go. But, eventually I hope we get a college football preseason, 3 games. We get to see what's on the bench. I don't want to see the starters playing those games unless they just want to get, two possessions just to get the rust off of them for the regular season to start. And then after the season starts, it's big boy football. Because let me tell you, for Ohio State, it's tough that Texas is the first game. But for Texas, it's tough that it's Ohio State is the first game. It's probably the best defense you will see all year. You're probably not going to see a defense like this for the rest of the season. Okay? And that was your first game out the gate. You got to get the rust off and just come out here and play your best football week 1 when the rust is still all on you. That's a tough ask, So, listen, like I said, Like whoever makes the mistakes will be the ones who lose the game, and that's exactly what ended up happening in this case. Clock management in the fourth quarter. Really, Ohio State really needs to go back to the video film and just get back in the film room and look at that again and have a different game plan with the clock management because, in all honesty, that fourth quarter clock management was pretty poor. Arch Manning, he had some great passes, especially down the sideline. That was a pro throw that he threw for the 30 yards on the left side of the sideline there. That was just an accurate ball inside of the 2 minutes. But you're forcing certain passes that he shouldn't be throwing. He's throwing inaccurate passes at times that should not be happening, especially for a player that's his caliber. Um, you know, live to fight another down sometimes. Sometimes you just have to do that. Not every play will be perfect. You can't make every play. It is what it is. But Ohio State is in the victory formation, man. They come out, they close this game out. Um, I definitely understand why they go into victory formation. You don't want to make a mistake and give those guys a chance to tie the game to go to overtime or anything like that. You just take the win 14-7. It's cool. Not a problem. But this could have been a 14-13 game with a very different looking fourth quarter, but Texas chose not to take those points. So I hope later on in the season, man, from the coaching staff of Texas, that they take the points. I hope they take it seriously and they realize those field goals can truly help you, especially when you're down like that. But the defensive play in the game was the star of the game. The two defenses, you know, if I had to rate them, these probably are the two best defenses in college football. And we just seen them play each other, and we just seen how well they did. Great job to both of them. I can't say enough about those two defenses. They look amazing. But when it comes to big boy football, high score lines I don't want to see it. I just don't. I don't want to see a 45-24 game or 52-17, whatever. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. These type of close knit games, almost like the NFL, where it's just tough and you just got to figure it out. And the coaches really shine in this case. This is what I want to see, man. Great defenses, great offenses, chess match, figure it out. But yeah, that's kind of the full breakdown of the Ohio State Texas game, man. Let me know what you guys think. And, like I said, we'll be coming in here and talking about all the big games this season. So, guys, subscribe and you'll definitely hear a lot more, especially with college football and the NFL this year. So, can't wait to see more. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.